Subscribe.
Hey guys, it's the Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders. We are with you all. We are joining WWE Raw in progress right now, where we are watching the one, the only, the return of, here comes the pain himself, Brock Lesnar, who is just picking up the WWE Chairman, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. He is thinking about putting him in that F5, and Brock Lesnar just connected with the F5 as the WWE Chairman of the board. Vince McMahon is laid out. Paul Heyman pleading with Brock Lesnar to not do what he did, but Brock Lesnar acted accordingly at his own accord as Vince McMahon has been laid out. Truly the moment that was needed to make the overall experience for Raw tonight be just explosive. Now you have the fans talking for the rest of the week, as this was a snoozer of an episode, but this is definitely what was needed. Once again, Brock Lesnar making his eagerly anticipated return to WWE Raw the night after the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. You know how we do it, folks. It's the RCWR show. Special night. We're here again on Monday night, coming at you on January 28th, 2013. Let's go ahead and begin this.
Live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., this is the RCWR show with your host, Lee Sanders.
January 28th, 2013. Thank you for checking out the RCWR show live right now, 12 minutes past the 11 o'clock hour. WWE Raw went into a little bit of overtime there by a few minutes, but it's all good nonetheless. Hopefully we didn't have you guys waiting too patiently, and if you were waiting, hopefully you were doing just like us, and you were in front of your TV checking out WWE Raw tonight. As always, we have the chat room that's loaded up right now for you all. Feel free to jump on in there when you get a free moment. It's at blogtalkradio.com. You know, you can also take the time to interact with us on Facebook. Hit us up at Infinity One Productions, like our page while you're at it, where we give you news you can use. And you can also interact with us during the course of this episode on Twitter. Hit us up at Infinity One Prod. This episode of Raw that we had got tonight was all about Raw Roulette, and we saw a lot of snoozer moments during this particular episode, but none was more pleasing than what we had saw at the very end there, folks, as Paul Heyman had to go through a evaluation by Vince McMahon, WWE Chairman of the board. Of course, you know, when you hear evaluation, that always means that somebody's job is on the line. And this just really had a bunch of people wondering, okay, what exactly is going on here? And quite honestly, I'm kicking back when I first heard this, and I'm thinking to myself within the first hour of Raw, I'm saying to myself, okay, is this going to be a case right here where maybe perhaps the Shield could possibly come out to attack Vince McMahon? Then I kind of analyzed it a little bit, and I said, no, that's probably not going to happen. I think the route that they're going to go with a shock value. It's about WrestleMania time. Would make a little bit more sense for them right about now to have Brock Lesnar pop up. Of course, we heard the rumblings earlier this month that WWE was thinking about bringing back Brock Lesnar, but they decided to go against it. They wanted to go with him, obviously, after the Royal Rumble to take advantage of those next few dates that he has leading up into this year's WrestleMania. And, of course, if you haven't heard, Brock Lesnar, it's being reported now, so take this with a grain of salt, but I believe that this is about 90% accurate. It's already been reported that Brock Lesnar has signed a new deal with the WWE, the same type of deal that he had signed last year, which will see him continue on with the organization until WrestleMania 31. So 2 years total, Brock Lesnar is going to continue being with the organization, and I think they are off to a fantastic good start right here. For those of you wondering, how can we get Triple H back into the picture? Now this is your answer. You have Brock Lesnar attack the father-in-law of one Triple H, and you know this is going to have some serious repercussions. Great way that this was executed tonight, but you know, the other thing that we should point out with this, and the timing of this was so impeccable, as we had saw Vince McMahon call out Paul Heyman, telling him that the WWE former champion CM Punk was escorted by security out of the arena. He's done for the night. There's no way that CM Punk was going to be able to help him get out of this evaluation. Heyman would come out, and he was just telling bold-faced lies to the WWE chairman, telling him that, hey, there's just no way that I have had anything to do with the Shield, sir. You're sadly mistaken. I've been a liar, but I've done everything that I've needed to do to help get myself where I need to be as a businessman, as a promoter. I do whatever is necessary, but with regards to the Shield, no, sir. I'm telling you the truth. I'm an honorable man right here. I haven't had anything to do with the Shield being involved in helping CM Punk retain his title. Haven't had anything to do with Brad Maddox. Well, Vince McMahon offered some very interesting footage that was shown from a couple of weeks back, as we saw cameras that were with Brad Maddox following him in a backstage segment. And we see Paul Heyman chatting with him, and then he just abruptly says, okay, cut the cameras off. The cameras do go down, but you hear the audio as the background from what it looks like they're at. Looks like they're someone very dark, maybe back of a warehouse or something. That's how it's looking. And we see Paul Heyman tell Brad Maddox the show is over, that he paid him a good amount of money to help keep the title on the waist of CM Punk, but that afterwards he just has not been doing his job properly, and points out that the good money that he paid him, he's also paid to the Shields, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and quite honestly, they've been doing a more effective job than Maddox. And on that note, his services are no longer needed. We see the Shield come up. They actually give a beating to Brad Maddox after he pleaded with Heyman to let him go, that it doesn't have to be like this. He'll go away. They'll never hear from him again. Heyman not even taking heed to those whimpers, telling him to take his beating like a man. And, of course, we have a very stunned Paul Heyman looking on as that footage was shown. And funny right here, he actually had the audacity to tell Vince McMahon that it was not him, that the accent is wrong, that everybody knows he has a Brooklyn Jewish accent, and that it was not him. And, of course, we see Vince McMahon just not really buying any more of this garbage. He's ready to fire Heyman. And then Brock Lesnar makes his shocking return, F5ing the WWE chairman. Definitely a strong way to end tonight's show, as just all throughout the night, you know, normally I don't try to say anything bad about WWE Raw. I try to be as unbiased as possible. I try to look for those bright spots, and if I do notice something that was a little bad, I do try to offer ways that the product could have improved dramatically. But with regards to everything that was happening on this particular episode, minus the People's Champion, The Rock, minus Brock Lesnar, it was really one of those type of episodes. You said to yourself, damn, it's a good thing we got Kevin Bacon with his new show, The Following, because that was really the place to be tonight. Let's kick it up to the very top. And, of course, tonight was WWE Raw Roulette. And welcome to those of you that's joining us right now in the Blog Talk Radio chat room. Thank you for those of you that are checking in with us right now. Black Avenger Lee Sanders here. You listen to the RCWR show. We got about 20 guests in the chat room. Welcome to all of you in there. All right, so it was Raw Roulette, and of course, you know, there's nothing but a bunch of gimmicks matches. That's how these Raw Roulettes go. Is it just me, or was Raw Roulette better when we had Eric Bischoff doing it? I don't know about you all, but I just loved it better when Eric Bischoff was behind this. This was probably one of the weakest Raw Roulettes I've experienced in recent years. It was just so cliche, just so passive. We did see Randy Orton in action against Antonio Cesaro in a special guest referee match, and the special guest referee was none other than The Miz. And, we saw Antonio Cesaro get into the face of The Miz several times. Of course, they're still fresh off of their YouTube pre-show match that they had at last night's Royal Rumble pay-per-view. And, we saw Cesaro just really pushing the buttons of The Miz, just physically bullying him around. Of course, Miz trying to let him know, hey, I'm the referee here. Come on, you're not supposed to be putting your hands on me. We saw The Miz really do his best to call this match down the middle. We saw Cesaro, he just kept trying to do dirty tactics to Randy Orton. He was doing the whole thumb to the eyes. He was abusing the count. He kept getting himself almost disqualified several times. I mean, he was really pushing it with The Miz. Towards the final few seconds of the match, we would end up seeing Antonio Cesaro get very physical with The Miz, push him around after Cesaro was trying to do a serious mud-stomping beatdown on Randy Orton in the corner. And Cesaro, Miz, they're almost about to pick up right where they had left off from Sunday's pay-per-view when Randy Orton had quickly grabbed Cesaro, turned him around, hit him with the RKO, was able to pick up the victory that way. Post-match, we saw The Miz try to help up Antonio Cesaro and then connected with the Bone Skull crushing finale. Obviously, this rivalry is not over between these two men. Definitely going in the right direction that it needs to. It's amazing that we still have a few people that's a little bit surprised that, unfortunately, the title did not change hands at the pre-show. You got to remember here, folks, they want you to pay to see the new champion crowned. I would suspect that they are going to do a rematch at the Elimination pay-per-view itself, and it's highly possible that we could get a new champion on that night. If not that night, then for sure we'll get a new champion at WrestleMania. Next up, we had the Make Me Laugh match. This one was between Ryback and the Primetime Players, Titus O'Neil and Darren Young. Titus O'Neil would try to offer a funny joke. The joke was basically, what does a woman say to Matt Stryker when he's trying to get a date with them? Ain't nobody got time for that. And that was, here's the thing with that. It's funny if you get why they're saying that. I think if you go to YouTube and you type in "ain't nobody got time for that," you'll see this ridiculous remixed video of this old black lady that's talking about some tragedy that had happened. I don't know if it was with Hurricane Katrina or what, but they do this remix song of her saying, ain't nobody got time for that. It's some hilarious stuff. We'll try to see if we can put it up on our Facebook page after the show is over, but you're more than welcome during the course of this episode. Just hop on YouTube. Try typing in ain't nobody got time for that music video, and you should be able to see what I'm talking about. But we would see Ryback. He had a little bit of a joke of his own. He said, okay, well, what has 20 fingers, and I can't remember the rest of it, but basically he was saying that Titus O'Neil, Darren Young, they're about to get their ass beat, and that's exactly what had happened. Post-match, we saw Matt Stryker. He had declared Ryback as the winner, said what Ryback did was indeed funny. Stryker should have stopped while he was ahead, as we saw Ryback deliver shell shock to Stryker. Again, that was your Make Me Laugh contest. Third match of the night, we saw Bo Dallas. That's right, the NXT wrestler who made his debut at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view on Sunday. He had eliminated Wade Barrett and surprisingly pissed off Wade Barrett, who just was not ready to go to the backstage area. He literally grabbed Bo Dallas by his hair and just pulled him over the top rope, delivered that bullhammer clothesline to leave him laying out. If you were listening to our post-show last night covering the Royal Rumble, I had offered opinions on how soon we could probably expect these two guys to follow up on what they had did at Royal Rumble. I had suspected that maybe it was going to go down at the NXT tapings for this week. I was actually very, very pleased to see that it continued immediately the night after the Rumble, have it still be fresh in everybody's minds. For those of you that don't quite know Bo Dallas, his real name, of course, that he's mainly known by is Taylor Rotunda. And he is a former three-time FCW Florida Heavyweight Champion, and he's also a former two-time FCW Florida Tag Team Champion with his older brother, Bray Watt. And he had signed with the developmental territory of WWE back in 2008. And he's pretty much been making his name for himself down there. And a lot of people have tried to actually compare him to a very young WCW Chris Jericho, a junior version of the Lion Tamer there. So I can kind of see a little bit of the similarities there. Once again, new injection of new WWE talent, WWE embracing new blood. You can't really complain about that right there. Let's talk about John Cena, folks. He had a match against Cody Rhodes. If there was ever a time to do a campaign to try to help save Cody Rhodes, now is the time. I felt really sorry for this guy. As long as I've been watching Cody Rhodes and I've seen his different little gimmicks that he's given us over the years, I've never seen Cody Rhodes get squashed so fast in my life than the match that he had against John Cena. This match ended literally, it felt like 3 minutes, maybe even 2 minutes. But, I mean, Super Cena just going over big time on Cody Rhodes. Like, it was just an afterthought. Of course, John Cena, what he was really out there to promote was his win at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. He is the one that has a date with destiny known as WrestleMania, as he is going to be taking on, as he revealed tonight, the WWE Champion, whether it be The Rock or it be CM Punk. He is gunning for that WWE title. And as far as he is concerned, he basically wins either way when you think about it, because with CM Punk, a man that has held that title for 435 days, CM Punk is a man that John Cena, no matter how many times he has faced this man, he had just not been able to have this guy's number. What bittersweet moment it would be to be able to defeat CM Punk on the grandest stage of them all, known as WrestleMania. Of course, you go to the other side. It might not be CM Punk. It could be Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And for John Cena, he is still remembering what went down at last year's WrestleMania, that whole year buildup of promising his friends, promising his family, promising the WWE Universe that he is going to do everything that is necessary to be able to defeat The Rock. And it just seemed like all those weeks leading up into WrestleMania, it looked as if John Cena was definitely going to be able to hang with The Rock. And as he best described it tonight, Rock wouldn't have been able to hold a jock strap, basically, his jock strap at that. So, you're keeping all that in mind. You go to WrestleMania, of course, John Cena came up very short. There is that part of him that wants to go head-to-head with the Brahma Bull at WrestleMania one more time and really dig down deep to get this win. So with that in mind, John Cena gunning for the WWE Championship. Other matches we had saw was Tensai versus Brodus Clay in a dance-off, probably one of the most embarrassing moments that I can ever recall for Tensai, a.k.a. Albert, a.k.a. Matt Bloom. I really felt very bad for this guy. Of course, in a backstage segment, the wheel had actually hit the lingerie match, and we saw Tensai tell Vicky Guerrero, Brodus Clay, there was just no way in hell was he going to do that type of match, and he walked away in frustration. We see Vicky Guerrero, she had told Brodus Clay that with Vince McMahon going around giving out evaluations, there was just no way that this match was going to be taking place. And she asked Brodus Clay to spin the wheel again. And this time around, the match ended up being a dance-off. Brodus Clay told her he would let Tensai know. Hopefully he'd feel a little bit better with this new circumstance. We go to this match. Tensai is in a robe. It's time for the dance-off. He takes it off, and he is in his, God, it was just disgusting. He was in a teddy, and, man, it was time for them to do the dance-off. And, I was a little bit happy to see the return of the hip-hop hippo there. Nice little gimmick he had going on. Younger WWE fans, you probably wouldn't know about that. Best bet I can give you guys is to hop on YouTube and check that out. But I really felt bad for Tensai tonight. I just think about the great success that this man had in Japan. And he was really making a name for himself. I mean, this guy, not necessarily a Chris Jericho or anything like that, but he was doing pretty damn good in Japan. And he comes over here, he just really wasn't able to click like that with the WWE Universe, of course, because they remember all the previous gimmicks that he had over the years, which kind of proves to me in my mind that it was gimmicks that they thought were very memorable to a certain extent. But as one person had pointed out to us, who we were interacting with, as we were interacting with a number of you tonight on Twitter, one person brought up a very valid point. They say, you know what, it probably wouldn't be too surprising if somewhere in the next 90 days, Tensai might ask for his release from the WWE or they give him the pink slip. And it definitely wouldn't surprise me right there. Very, very sad moment to see right there. We had the Body Slam contest between Alberto Del Rio and The Big Show. For those of you that know your wrestling, as soon as you saw this announced, you knew that this was really going to be about Big Show getting some payback on Alberto Del Rio. And if you went a step further, you could jump out there. You probably said to yourself, this contest is probably not going to even happen because Big Show is just going to be seeing red. He's just going to be delivering WMDs left and right. And that's exactly what Big Show had did, as he did a little bit of payback to Del Rio, wrapped his arm up around the ropes. We saw Ricardo Rodriguez. He tried to come to Del Rio's aid. Big Show, he just took to him, tore his shirt off, gave him a serious beatdown, serious mud stomp in there, a slobber knocker, as Jim Ross likes to call it, as Alberto Del Rio just looked on, screaming at the Big Show. We saw Big Show just toss around Ricardo like he was nothing, tossed him into the barricade, slapping him on the chest multiple times, finally entering the torture by hitting with the WMD to lay him out. We then see him focus his attention on Alberto Del Rio. Wham! Connects with a WMD as well. Pissed off, furious giant in the Big Show we have. How will Alberto Del Rio respond on Friday Night SmackDown this week? Of course, one of the things that was announced during Raw was that Booker T will be announcing the fate of Alberto Del Rio and his World Heavyweight Championship as far as what's next for the champion as far as a challenger. And Big Show is going to be involved in that. Some of you described this segment being just a little bit too drawn out, that it should have just ended immediately with Big Show wrapping up Del Rio's arms, just hitting him with the WMD, beating up Ricardo for a hot minute, but ending quickly in the WMD. A lot of you all, you enjoyed the segment to a certain extent, but you would have preferred that it didn't last as long as it did. I definitely agree with you all on that. Probably one of the weakest moments of the night, we saw a lumberjill Las Vegas Showgirls match between Tamina and Caitlyn. Hey, guys, boys and girls, it was our match that we were supposed to get at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Remember the final script that had came out plugging all the matches at the Rumble? This was one of them, and unfortunately it just got ditched altogether. I guess they ran out of time, who knows, but we had got somewhat of what we were supposed to see, but it had a little bit of a gimmick to it. One of the weakest moments of the night as well, no doubt. This was pretty much your bathroom break. If you were a little bit irritated with the Tensai Brodus Clay, followed by the Big Show Alberto Del Rio, this was pretty much your intermission right here. We did see a damn good tables match between Sheamus and Damian Sandow, as Sheamus had picked up the victory over the Intellectual Savior. How about that, folks? We see the team of Rhodes Scholars individually in singles matches tonight both take a loss. Very interesting development right there. Chris Jericho, he made his return tonight. Those of you who were wondering, we put that question out there last night on the post show. We said, okay, it was really awesome to see Chris Jericho come back, but what's really going on right here? Was this a one-off, or is Chris Jericho back on a regular basis, part-time basis? What's the diddlio? And we actually had reported on our website earlier today that apparently Chris Jericho, WWE, they've worked out a deal where Chris Jericho will be with the company right on past WrestleMania, just a little bit past it, but he's going to be with them on a part-time basis. Now, it looks like, and it's going according to plan so far, he's picking up his feud right where he left off with Dolph Ziggler, as we actually saw Dolph Ziggler, Big E Langston, AJ, they all came out to interrupt his speech to the WWE Universe as he talked about how fantastic it was to come back at the Royal Rumble event and receive the huge pop that he did, and that it was truly a moment that he would never, ever forget again. And we saw Chris Jericho just really, Chris Jericho, the thing I loved about him, I said it briefly when we were talking about it last night, but I can't stress it enough. Man, the guy looks like he shed 10 years, man. The last time we saw him, I think you guys would agree, last time we saw Jericho, he was really just weary. He just looked beat down. He looked like he needed to sleep for 3 months. I mean, that's just how whooped he looked. I mean, he looks really rejuvenated. And see, he's pushing some new tattoos there. Of course, we saw Dolph Ziggler questioning why Chris Jericho was back in the company, as he had fired him in the contract versus contract match last summer. Vicky Guerrero would reveal that she was the one that had brought him back in, as she can appreciate true talent. So there's your little storyline right there explaining why Jericho is back. And looks like Jericho and Dolph Ziggler, they're going to be picking up where they left off, as that actually had leaded into a tag match known as the Strange Bedfellows match. Don't even ask. It was just basically a tag match, okay? And we saw these two guys have no choice but to team up to take on the team of Team Hell Knows Kane and Daniel Bryan. Now, we did see Jericho very early on in this match, like probably 2-3 minutes into this match. He actually abandoned his partner, Dolph Ziggler, and Ziggler was actually in a handicap match, unfortunately, where Kane, Daniel Bryan, they did a serious number on him, and Team Hell No was able to pick up the win. No doubt, Jerichoholic fans, you all have got to be excited. We now have Jericho back, and, honestly, it's always a joy to see Jericho come back. I know we're probably going to have those naysayers that's going to be like, oh, man, all these old guys are starting to come back. Hey, it's WrestleMania season. It's all about pushing those ticket sales and all that and putting some recognizable faces out there. I'm all for it. The only thing that I would hope would happen with Chris Jericho this time around is that he doesn't have the type of program that he had the last go-round that he was with the company 6 months ago. I mean, that whole losing streak, that was just a really serious number. I want to pretend that didn't even happen, because it just looked like if willing on a typical week, it looked as if Jericho was just willing to job to Hornswoggle there. I mean, that's just how pathetic it was really looking for him there. So I'm really hoping that this time around that we have Jericho, that, you know, they really do this right. And I think it's kicking off to a good start with him being involved with Dolph Ziggler. No doubt this will probably wrap itself up by the Elimination Chamber. And I would think that from there, Jericho would probably put his attention on Ryback. We're hearing the rumblings there, and quite honestly, there's a perfect case right there where you have WCW, Chris Jericho versus Goldberg there too, you know, and Ryback. I think if handled properly, I think these two guys could have one freaking fantastic rivalry that could actually go to a point where maybe they could kind of stretch it out for about 2 months there past WrestleMania, depending on how Jericho's schedule is looking. Don't be too surprised if after Ziggler, that's where he goes next, and they try to take a couple of pages out of the rivalry that he had going on there with Goldberg. Not to mention, let's not forget now, remember, we did see Jericho and Goldberg reignite their rivalry when Goldberg was in the WWE there for a very hot minute. So don't be too surprised if they decide they want to go in that particular route. Also, on Raw tonight, we had the People's Champion, the great one, the Brahma Bull, the most electrifying man in all of sports and entertainment, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, make his return. And he had some very interesting words to say to the WWE Universe, of course, thanking them for supporting him and just relieved that finally he is back as the WWE Champion. As he recalled from 1998 to 2003, how he was able to capture 7 WWE Championships, but that this one that he won on Sunday was probably one of the most significant moments in his career that he'll be taking with him for a very long time, very special moment for him, and he thanked the WWE Universe for that. We saw former WWE Champion CM Punk interrupt the festivities and tell Dwayne Johnson that if he was anything of a man, he would do the right thing, walk on down to him, hand over the WWE title, and apologize for funking it up with his whole just funk, period. That's the best way I'm going to put it out there. And, of course, we saw The Rock just not for remembering what time of the night it was, as it wasn't even hour 3 here, let alone overrun. We see The Rock call CM Punk a punk-ass bitch, telling him to come on down to the ring and try to take the WWE title away from him or keep standing up at the ramp like a punk-ass bitch. And CM Punk, he would go down halfway, but he decided to turn on back, and he actually told the WWE Champion, you know what, I'm going to grant you a rematch against me. Depending on how your schedule is looking, we can either get it on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or next week, or in 3 weeks at the Elimination Chamber. And we see The Rock tell CM Punk that his rematch, it's on, but he's not going to be taking away the WWE title. But what he will be taking is a serious ass whooping, punk ass bitch. New slogan right there for The Rock there for CM Punk. Punk ass bitch. And Cookie Puss, if you're keeping track so far. So it really is looking as though Elimination Chamber is shaping up to be a pretty fantastic match so far. You know, we were talking about the Shield very early on, and it should be pointed out that during John Cena talking about which title he was going to be going for, we would see the Shield's Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. They made an appearance, and they actually did beat down on the C-Nation leader. We did see Ryback and Sheamus come out. They tried to come to the aid of Cena, but they, too, had got beat downs. And it ended in a way where the Shield had powerbombed John Cena, And you can't help but wonder, with regards to the way everything's been playing out with the Shield attacking people left and right, if the trigger is finally going to get pulled where we're going to see the Shield take on John Cena, Ryback, Sheamus in some type of a 3-on-3 match. I mean, we know that the 3-on-3 match is going to happen, but with all the people that they've been attacking, it's pretty much been boiling down to who exactly is it going to be. And I think at this point, it would definitely make a lot of sense for them to go in that direction of the Shield taking on Ryback, John Cena, Sheamus. Give these guys something to do. John Cena needs a little something he can kind of just quickly sink his teeth into before focusing on The Rock, and we all know it's going to happen eventually. You know, one person had said it best with regards to The Rock taking on John Cena. It's a very funny image, and we actually have posted it on our Facebook page. Remember the banner image that was floating around of The Rock and Cena basically saying once in a lifetime? Well, somebody scratched it out, and they basically said once a year. And at this rate, that's exactly how it could be looking right about now. Overall, though, I would have to say that Raw, once again, for the most part, a very lackluster episode. This was one of those nights where if you wanted to watch something else on TV, you know, it was okay. But I think we all knew from just the way everything was just playing out that the whole Paul Heyman, Vince McMahon evaluation, I think we all can kind of take within retrospect that something big was going to happen. And the fact that Brock Lesnar had returned, I actually think that kind of overshadowed just a little bit more of the Rock versus CM Punk, as of course that's just going to have a lot of people talking. Not every day you get the F5, your boss that's signing paychecks who's almost 70 years old. So really great moment there, especially for Brock Lesnar fans. And let's see what some of you guys are saying in the chat room here. We got Cyrus the Monster. He looks like he put a link up for you guys to check out. Apparently there was a crazy fan video. I'm not sure if that happened at the Raw event or what, but check it out. It's pretty good. And for those of you that might be a little bit curious, you know, we want to follow up on a poll that we had asked you all from last night's Royal Rumble pay-per-view. We asked you guys for your honest opinion, which was how would you rate the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, and your options were fantastic pay-per-view, 10 out of 10, great pay-per-view, 8 out of 10, average pay-per-view, 5 out of 10, poor pay-per-view, 3 out of 10, and didn't see the pay-per-view. Those were your options. And right now, we have the following results. And, folks, it goes as follows. Here we go. Looks like, according to this, 40% of you had said that the pay-per-view was poor. You gave it a 3 out of 10. 20% of you said it was an excellent pay-per-view. 20% of you gave it a rating of a great pay-per-view. And 20% of you didn't watch it. So right now we got poor pay-per-view in the lead right now. If you all that did not cast your vote for this, if you feel strongly indifferent about these results, feel free to cast your vote over at InfinityOneProductions.com. And what we'll do is we'll follow up on this on our weekend edition of the RCWR show that's going to be coming this Saturday. And whatever the official ratings is on that, that's pretty much going to be it. We'll have the poll remain open until then. Make sure that everybody has been able to cast in their votes. But, I wouldn't say it was a terrible pay-per-view. I would say that the pay-per-view was pretty fucking solid right on up until we got to that Royal Rumble there. That's when it was, I'll take that back. Even the Rumble was entertaining there. I mean, we all knew John Cena was going to win it. I think, if anything, just the way that the Royal Rumble main event match between CM Punk and The Rock, just the way that had ended in itself, that could have been tweaked a little bit more, where there could have been some very serious shock value going into tonight's episode of Raw, and it probably really would have helped shape up the overall product that we had got from them tonight. I want to go on ahead and I want to take a very brief commercial break, but when I come right back, I got some very important news for you guys that's been listening to our show for a long time. Very proud to announce to you when we come back from break, we have a new co-host, and I'm going to let you know the details on that. He's going to be making his debut next week. You all have heard him before, but if you haven't, we'll give you the 411 on that. And we'll also go through some quick snippets of wrestling-related news before we close out the show. We know we haven't covered that much wrestling headlines in a while, so we'll go on ahead and we'll do that for you guys before we wrap up the show. And, so stick tight. Hope you're enjoying the show so far. You're listening to the RCWR show coming at you on January 28th, 2013. We'll be coming right back, folks. Do hang tight.
For news you can use, like us on Facebook during this commercial break at Infinity One Productions.
All right, guys, and we are back, the RCWR show. Black Avenger Lee Sanders here. So, I got some major announcement for you guys. We were talking a couple of weeks ago, earlier this month at that we were going to be searching for a new co-host. And, I've been having a blast this whole year. I mean, we're getting ready to approach our 1-year anniversary. And, I've said it time and time again, the show, when it first started off, it was brutally fucking bad. And, I was just one of those type of people, though. I just kept saying, I'm determined to make the show be better. Anything I have to do to try to make the show better, if that means I got to do some homework on, how to improve it or whatever, I was willing to commit to it for the long haul. And, a year later, pretty much, and here we are now. We struggled with very poor numbers for the show. I think the lowest I've probably seen when we had first started this whole thing was 100 listens. And, that could be very discouraging, when you're first starting off. But, here we are now. We're pulling in really good numbers, and we've had great guests that have come by the show this past year. And for me, going into 2013, I said, I've been at the helm solo for a year. I've gotten myself to where I want to be as a solo guy, but it'd be some really, really kick-ass fun to have a co-host. And I'm very proud to tell you guys that making his debut next Tuesday, it's going to be the one, it's going to be the only Diamond K. Diamond K is going to be joining me for all the shows beginning next week. Diamond K, his background, he used to be a correspondent with the Pro Wrestling Report, and he also used to be the co-host for Sudden Impact Radio with a good Twitter buddy of mine, Meathead. And, we were talking, originally we did a two-part collaboration earlier this month. He had popped up on my show, and I popped up on his show, and turns out we're both Maryland boys. We're in the area, and I told him, I said, man, it was really awesome having you on the show, and, we just kept going back and forth, and he said, man, I would like to do more shows with you. And I told him, well, quite honestly, I'm looking for a co-host, and I had it down to about 3 people. And I was actually just shooting the shit with him. I wasn't even putting a pitch out there to him. And one thing led to another, and I said, you know what? I love Diamond K. He's awesome. We gel really damn good. And this is going to be just as much his show as it is mine. So it's not going to be one of those type of situations where, I'm going to be doing most of the talking and Diamond K is just going to kind of be like, it's not going to be like that at all. We're going to really do this right down the middle, equal. And I really hope that you guys enjoy him. If you're still a little bit new to him, trust me when I say that this guy's really awesome. For those of you, we know that there's a lot of you that love hearing me put my spin on wrestling. I go in depth because I go in depth with a lot of the things that I cover on here to really make sure that you guys can appreciate the perspective. As, I know that there's that hardcore audience of wrestling fans that they do their internet research, they live, they eat, they breathe, they sleep wrestling, so they kind of have a really good idea of the ins and the outs. But when I go in depth about something, I go in depth because I'm reaching out to those that might not take that time out to do all that research. Thus, those 3 words that you hear at the beginning of our intro, keeping it interactive, insightful, that's what it's all about, being very insightful. So, I really hope you appreciate that. And trust me when I say that although I'm going to be having a new co-host, we're still going to have some serious fun over here, and we will continue to be opening up the phone lines from time to time for every single pay-per-view. And trust me when I say if you have not heard me and Diamond K do our thing, the show's really going to be in good hands. It's in a way where, if I decide I don't want to do something because I have an emergency or something like that, Diamond K can take over, and he's just going to just run with the damn ball. And quite honestly, I couldn't ask for a better wingman to my Mavericks. So look forward to that. Next Tuesday, the new era of the RCWR show begins. Quick programming note, this Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, it's the return of Impact Showdown Radio. And special guest, always love this guy when he comes by. One of my favorite guests was our very first guest when we were reaching out to people. The famous Justin Reno. He's going to be stopping by to talk about what he has been up to as of late, as apparently he's got some TNA news that he wants to share with you guys. So make sure you join us for that. And I haven't got it finalized yet. I'm trying to negotiate out something. It's very possible we could be having Jake the Snake Roberts stop by. I'm trying to talk to his people to see if I might be able to get him to come onto a show. And I'll let you guys know anything if I'm able to come up with anything on that. Somebody was asking me the other day, which guests have you tried to reach out to next? Because the Snitsky piece was pretty fucking awesome. And I'm trying to see if I can get Jake the Snake and a couple other people on my eyeballing, but that's just one name I'll give away right now. But again, February, we are going to be having a lot of people that's going to be stopping by the show. We're just getting started, man. All right, so let's talk a little bit about wrestling-related news. Not really too many headlines is out there, as really all the buzz was about the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. And, in case you haven't heard, it looks like, unfortunately, WWE Hall of Famer Tammy Sunny Sitch was arrested again over the weekend. Homegirl, goddamn, 6 times now, okay? This woman has been arrested. Looks like this time around she was arrested for violating a restraining order that the person that is supposed to be her ex-boyfriend, but she's still messing with him, I guess. Apparently she is like just paying this restraining order no mind. And as a result of that, she was arrested over the weekend. She was held on a $100,000 bond, and she was supposed to be getting arraignment today. Now, I don't have the latest update on that. I don't know if, I'm paying attention to the headlines. They're trying to see what's the outcome of that. So far, I haven't really heard anything. But when more information comes out, we'll definitely share it with you all. Of course, just stay glued to our Facebook and website over at Infinity One Productions, and we'll give you the 411 on that, I promise you guys. And other than that, of course, one special thing that I want to talk about, and I skipped this on purpose because I just think she really is a true inspiration to younger divas that are in the WWE today, because she really was one of those that truly paved the way. It was announced on Raw tonight, being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Though she may be 37 years old, she's still relatively young. Everything that she was able to do for the Divas division, I mean, she was like the female version of The Rock to a certain extent. Of course, I'm talking about the beautiful, the Canadian Trish Stratus, a.k.a. Stratus Faction, tongue twister right there. I grew up watching Trish Stratus there in the WWF Attitude Era, and I'm very proud that she's being inducted into this. And, I don't know if maybe there might be a little bit more behind this. I know some people would probably want to find this questionable. And though she has no injuries or anything like that, I do admit it is a little bit weird that they are inducting her when she still has so much more that she can contribute to the sport. But when you just think about everything that she was able to do for the WWE, I mean, really, you look at the Maurices, you look at the Kelly Kellys, you look at the Marias, you look at the Bella Twins, you look at Caitlyn. You just add them all up, and, I mean, you just don't have what Trish Stratus had. Trish Stratus, along with Lita, those were really the two women in my mind when I think about Diva champions from over the years, competitors. I truly believe that they really were the ones that really left their mark on the sport, and notice how they all had left to do other things. Some are still involved in wrestling to a certain extent, but, you know, Trish Stratus, she's just been doing a phenomenal job with herself post-match. I mean, she's sat up and she's been a successful fitness model, fitness guru, television personality, even an actress. She's just been doing very well for herself, and, of course, she joins Bob Backlund. She joins Mick Foley. All these guys are going to be inducted into this year's 2013 Hall of Fame. Trish Stratus, congratulations to you. And I think that's pretty much it. There really hasn't been that much else that's been happening wrestling news-wise. It's been pretty relatively quiet. Really greatest buzz you can take away, once again, from this past week's Raw is the return of Brock Lesnar. Jericho back on a part-time basis, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, we're already hearing the rumblings there with Jericho coming back, that there are some wrestlers that kind of feel that Jericho is just someone there to take the spot of another piece of talent. Again, I don't really look at it that way. You know, I look at Jericho, and I am not going to even make the comparisons to The Rock, but what I will say is that Jericho, in his own right, he has been very successful. You know, love him or hate him, hate the fact that he's doing his whole thing with rock music. The man has just really been doing a phenomenal job, dipping into all different types of projects, not just staying glued to one thing. And for that, I respect the hell out of the man. You know, he is just like The Rock in the same sense of he doesn't need to come back for the money. It's not about the money. It's just really about putting on a good show for people at the end of the day. And, you know, it's WrestleMania time, man. It's a good time to be watching the WWE right now. And I'm going to end that little food for thought rant just on that. I really appreciate you guys checking out tonight's show. It's been a fucking blast doing all these episodes all this month. January has been our most strongest month, and I'm very proud of the shows that we have produced all this month. And I want to take this time now from the bottom of my heart. I want to thank you all you listeners, our loyal listeners, new listeners, everybody, even the ones that might just come by to check out the show just one time and, you know, they come back a couple of weeks later. I want to take this time out to thank you guys for checking out all the episodes that we've put out this month. Definitely thank you for checking out our post-show last night, as you quickly have made that be one of our most listened and downloaded episodes. And let's do it again, man. We got February. It's WrestleMania season. We're going to keep that momentum going. We got a new co-host coming next week. It's going to be some really fun shit that's going to be happening. Let me put it to you this way. If everything goes right, we definitely are going to be taking this show on the road. And if I can have it my way, I'm actually going to be looking to do something in April in the area when WWE comes to our neck of the woods. And as I told you guys a couple of weeks ago, we will be going to that event. And when I say we, if I can have it set up properly, me, Diamond K, lovely co-producer Tammy, and, you know, the question was asked the other day, what does co-producer Tammy do? And co-producer Tammy, she actually helps fund the shows. And aside from that, she uses her ability to actually help me post-production when it comes to editing episodes. She does a phenomenal job when it comes to the post-production work. She's actually gotten me hip to a lot of the software that I use for a lot of editing and all that. And she also does a lot of PR work. There's a guest that I'm thinking about bringing onto the show. You know, I give her a list of names that I'm thinking about, and she actually goes out there and works her magic to try to see if we can have guests come on by. And most importantly, she's my best friend. I've known her for a long time. And, when I decided I was going to go into radio, I had a lot of people that sat up and said, nah, it's not for you. Maybe you should try something else. And I met a lot of negative criticism. And Tammy was actually one of the only people that had sat up and said to me, if you're going to do this, you got to go hard. You got to go all the way, succeed or fail. It's going to be on your own. But this is a very interesting journey. I want to do this journey with you. Let's have at it. And, other than her, my girlfriend, she was definitely a little bit questionable about this as well. But when she saw how passionate I was about it, she was actually another one that eventually joined the bandwagon. And, I'm just feeling a little nostalgic right now because we're creeping up on that year. It's coming, just a handful of weeks. We first launched in February, so, forgive me, I'm just feeling a little nostalgic right now. But we got big things planned for you guys, and we really hope that you guys just continue to support us. Check out all the episodes that we put out, and that's going to do it. All right, so we're on a 48-hour break. Thursday night, we got Impact Showdown Radio, 10 p.m. Eastern. We got the famous Justin Reno that's going to be stopping by. We're going to be talking all things TNA wrestling. For you hardcore fans, you like your mix of wrestling and beyond, we got you hooked up this Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern, so make sure you join us for that. Everybody, in the meantime, be safe, be kind to one another. Take care, folks. See you later.